New technology.
We're doing some new stuff today.
Yes.
We're excited to be here with you.
Broadcasting on not only Facebook, but YouTube.
Yeah, so check us out. Facebook, YouTube. It's a whole new world.
Yes.
We are entering into technology.
Yes.
Hey, would y'all
To
like
new
to
ways.
actually introduce yourselves and say what this is?
So I don't know if we're okay. We're all good.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
All right.
So, hello. We are two of the pastors at Cathedral of Hope. My name is Aaron. I'm one of the ministers. This is
Alan.
Alan.
I'm Alan.
I was going to let you introduce yourself.
So Alan actually preached last
Yes.
night.
Yes, I actually.
Am I
preached
right
last
in
night.
this?
So
Okay.
Alan did a great job last
Thank
night
you.
of preaching. Awesome. Ended our Hope for Tomorrow series.
Yes.
I was inspired. I loved it. I think you keep getting better each and every time. Tell us a little bit of, as you were looking, what your title was again, kind of what the point of your sermon, how you kind of got there.
Mm-hmm. So our topic last night was grounded to stand, and we've been talking about like the kind of the elements of faith throughout this series. And we ended on grounded to stand, and so our scripture was 1 Corinthians 15:58, which talks about how we are grounded in our faith, to be steadfast in our faith, because of what Christ has done and the resurrection. We have this grounding in our faith, and so really talked about. It's funny, it came with that word grounded, and the first thing, like as I was reading and studying commentaries, I kept picturing Berkeley, like hunkering down.
And Berkeley is who?
Berkeley's my dog.
Okay.
He's like a pit bull bulldog.
I can attest, he's very cute.
American bully.
Which, from a production standpoint, can I just say, why didn't we have a picture of the
I
dog
know,
in
so
there?
we talked about that.
I meant to send a picture
Oh.
of Berkeley last night.
Yeah, we might need to post a picture. You might need to post a picture later off this.
I'll post a picture later on my Facebook. My glasses are fogging up. Hazards of masks.
Yeah, mask hazards.
But just like picturing him kind of hunkering down and like being firm, and like in the car he does this thing where he'll be on the armrest.
Yeah.
And we'll like go into a corner and you just feel him like bear down.
Yeah.
And he's like immovable. And I was like, that's how we're supposed to be in our faith.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to be secure and confident in what God has done, and like live out of that confidence, knowing that we have this hope in this future.
Yeah.
And so that really inspired me to think about like, how do we live that out in our lives?
Yeah.
Which is where I got to the points of going out and voting, making our voices heard, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I love that image you use of your dog, not like because it's sort of amusing and cute,
Yeah.
but that it actually is really the whole idea of like when you're normally driving, he's probably a little bit looser. Like when he's confident, but what we're talking about is there's a curve, something's thrown at us, a curveball, if you will, and then he sort of bears down, like he kind of gets closer to what's safe, right?
Yeah, right.
And so kind of goes in and gets a little bit, but you can't keep that all the time.
Right.
But it happens when maybe there's a turn that's unexpected, or you're kind of watching the road and you're going, something's changing.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the midst of, I think this is helpful, in the midst of all this change, we can't live in a heightened state of it, but your challenge for us is anytime we see a curb or something happening or something difficult in the road, we
prepare.
Yeah.
And
we remember the basics maybe.
Right. Remember the basics and go back to that. Because like it's easy to get caught up in things, but like we have to remember, like we have this huge hope.
Yeah.
And like
we have this victory.
We have this victory.
Already sort of won in the sense.
And we have like agency in the world where we can actually affect change because of the hope we have, and actually speak truth and protect people that are vulnerable.
I agree. Yeah. And I love that you gave position and opportunity when I was watching, that you said, we believe in the resurrection, and then some people still struggle with that theology. And so what I've always thought or said is, I'm less concerned about your literal view of the resurrection, but I am more interested as a Christian in how are you living a resurrection life? How are you bringing life into the world? Because there's a lot of people who have very literal views in the resurrection, and then, in my personal opinion, live lives that don't show that renewed life, that new life. And so that's, I think, what you're trying to get at. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
The theology of it is there's something profoundly powerful. Like, again, we're talking about this event that happened 2,000 years ago. We're still talking about it. There's
Right.
something cataclysmic about it. Like Richard
Right.
Rohr called the cosmic Christ of it, right?
Right.
And so in our lives, I love how you delineate it out. And so maybe talk a little bit more about what are the things today we can do to have agency, like you said, and empower and enact that sort of steadfastness.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
By the way, he has a pumpkin spice something, so it's staying over there. I love the distancing.
I keep covering it up because I don't want you to go.
No, it's fine. It's
smell
fine.
it.
Kidding.
I know.
I have ice
yeah.
something. Here we go.
Right, there you go.
Pumpkin spice.
So
Yeah, pineapple.
So I think we have agency in the world that we can really, like, when we're talking about marginalized people, like when we go and march for Black Lives Matter and give voice to people that maybe don't necessarily need us, but we're there to encourage them to speak up for those who are marginalized. And for us to go out and vote and make our voice heard so that we can have the people in power that we want to have in power to actually do good things for the world.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And we have to, when we act out of hope, those things, I think, sometimes we have to be reminded to do that. Like we forget that those things are happening, especially with all the news and the news cycle is just constant right now.
Yeah.
And so remembering that, and like also just digging in and like reading the Bible, reading devotionals, reading some blog posts that are faith-based,
Yeah.
so that we're being steadfast in our faith and actually keeping ourselves grounded in what we believe.
Yeah. And sorry.
So good.
I think this was a perfect match to our Sunday time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we're talking about kind of heart matters, which we're talking about change and new habits, and all of that is kind of going to be in a few weeks how we end that series. And I think,
Right.
We are trying to, in both our worship experiences, really engage people on acknowledge that there's difficulties, acknowledge some of those difficulties come from us, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
The ways in which we haven't maybe created good habits or remained steadfast, which is understandable in all of this.
Oh, absolutely.
But to be reminded of that hope and
Right.
that you have power, you actually can enact in your life. Not
Right.
only change, but you can enact in your life ways in which you can navigate those curves in the road, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think those things will have a profound impact on you personally as well.
Yeah.
As you remember that hope, it's like you have a little bit more hope in all the relationships that you engage in on a personal level as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. I found myself getting real joyous as I thought about it, as I
Yay.
preached about it
I
and
love
studied
it.
about it.
Yeah.
So it's like all that studying that goes into
Yeah.
preaching a sermon. You're
Well,
like, oh yeah, I gotta,
Preachers, we preach to ourselves first.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
preaching to the things that we
Absolutely.
know that we struggle with, or we have interest
Sorry!
in. That was a little thing. That's okay. We're cheering.
That was so.
We're so energy. We have good energy.
To be specific, it was 8 minutes ago.
8 minutes ago.
I love it. Yeah, but where are we? And so I think some of that is engaging in our spiritual life with small groups and classes and just
Right.
doing those things that even at the moment, because I'm working on the small group curriculum in a couple weeks that talks about the habits of change, which will come if you do small groups and in our Sunday sermon. And so the reminder to us that change doesn't come through like fluffy bunny happiness a lot. Like
Right.
change comes that it's hard, it's difficult, and we have this idea that if we sing a song, "Change My Heart, Oh God," enough, and that's wonderful, and put it
Like,
out there.
Good. Right.
But
Right.
there's things we need to do in order to enact better change in our hearts and our lives.
Which is why being connected to a small group is
Yeah.
so important, because like that's where we get our
Yes,
we
I
get
agree.
our discipleship. That's where we get encouraged and we learn together.
Yeah,
And we build relationships with other believers.
Yeah.
So I think that's important as well.
I know, to be really deeply connecting.
Absolutely.
So that you're not going it alone. I mean, I think so often we've had this understanding of kind of the lone crusader Christianity, and I
Right.
think that just perpetuates a lot of the exhaustion and theology that isn't so helpful to us. But when you live in community, people are checking you and asking you questions and really want to know how you're doing, and so for us, worship is facilitating that connection, that discipleship, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a small group leader, like we both lead small groups.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our privilege to be able to lead that and
Yeah.
to make sure people are feeling connected.
Yeah, to engage
Yeah.
in ministry and to so I think we're trying to provide for you some ways in which your discipleship path will really keep you grounded and keep you it's relevant for today. Like it is something that is ancient, right? And ancient practices that actually we pull into today in ways that are, I think, life-giving and, awesome and helpful.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think it's...
We don't want it to be a burden. We want it to be something that's giving you life and that's helping you be grounded.
Is there anything you wanted to say last night that you didn't get to say? Because you did a very compact sermon.
I did a very compact sermon. I was
that.
trying to keep it under 10 minutes just because I felt like that was... But I also know, like...
It's a good goal. As anyone knows, I don't have that goal, but I try. But
it's like your sermons are very engaging as well. So,
but they're not short. But is there anything that you wish you could have said, or would you like to say?
Well, I wish I had said and the biggest thing to do right now is to go vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's
more.
Go vote. I should have said that in my sermon because I think that's as a citizen of this country, we have to get out and get our voices heard.
Yeah.
In the election, I don't think I hit on that enough.
Our democracy only works if we work it.
Right, and I probably should have expanded more on the ways that we can be grounded in our lives. I touched on it, and it was a brief overview.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I didn't want to get weighed down too much with that. So I'm glad that we had this time to kind of talk about some of them, dive into that a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So
Is there anything you're doing these days to keep yourself grounded?
So I have a small group that I'm in, and then I'm doing a lot of. So the UCC has devotionals, so I've been reading those a lot.
They're so good,
And then progressivechristianity.org. Been reading a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, and we also have great devotionals at our church as well.
Yes.
Some of the authors, and it's
I know,
lovely.
I keep reading that.
It's lovely because, we don't author them. There's people who have such gifts and talent for writing in our church.
Mm-hmm.
And so, reading those, I think, are just, you're right.
I should add those to my repertoire.
Taking that time each day to, ground yourself somewhere. So
plug for the podcast.
And there's a podcast linked to it, too.
Yes. Plug for the podcast.
Listen to it in your car.
Listen to it in your car on the way to, I don't know where, on the way to.
Whatever you're on the way to.
It's called, all you have to do is search for Words of Hope.
Words of Hope.
And from wherever you get your podcasts from, it's Words of Hope. And you can get your daily devotional read to you by the lovely volunteers.
I know. We have some great
record
volunteers.
Our podcasts.
We do. We have some amazing volunteers.
Oh, and the book Enemies of the Heart.
Yeah, Enemies of the Heart, if you haven't read it.
If you're not reading that.
Andy Stanley's book is so good.
Available from the COH bookstore or Amazon.com.
COH bookstore. And there's still some of the COH bookstore. We're also, just plug out for some of our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right?
you have the little hat. I have the white hat too. We all have that hat. Yes. It's so nice.
I
love it.
I don't have that hat.
I love it.
I gotta protect my hair. It's so cold without hair.
Are there any last minute things you want to share?
I think that
challenge
covers it.
I know. I think we covered it.
So I'm glad y'all joined us this morning. I hope this was uplifting for you. For
clergy with drinks.
Clergy with coffee.
You have coffee. Mine isn't coffee.
Oh, I thought you had a...
No, I didn't.
Are you drinking tea?
I'm drinking, no, it's hard to describe. It's like I'm realizing I'm dehydrating, not that you care, but I'm realizing I need to I have green stuff that I put in here that's vitamins and stuff, and so I've started to bring things to work so that I'm drinking more water. That's Masks are dehydrating me because I'm not thinking about drinking. And then I obviously brought this today. This was a gift from a congregant, lovely, and a reminder to be a pineapple.
There you go.
Which was my little thing at the beginning of COVID because I thought, this is going to be too cute 2 months.
Yeah.
I'll just talk about this. And then we're here 8 months later or whatever. So, but I'm still reminding you, be a pineapple.
I see pineapples everywhere now.
I know. It's a whole thing, apparently. But not my thing. I just borrowed that thing. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thanks y'all for being here.
We hope that you have engaged, got some dialogue, continue to kind of think through the ways in which you need to be or should be or, in your kind of best selves being grounded in your faith. We are so happy to have you on this journey with us. So.
And if you want to, check out our small groups, cathedralofhope.com/
I think it's small groups.
Small groups.
Yeah, check that out and get connected to a small group. That's a great way to be grounded here at the church.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.